Hello, my name is Jay, and today we're going to go over every single one of the rumors about the Geforce GTX 20 series, and figure out which ones are possible, which ones are not, and what's the logic behind each one, and hopefully get a good idea on what we can expect. Keep in mind, these are all rumors, but I think some of them are quite true, and some of them most likely not, and some I at least hope not. So let's get into it. So first off, we've got, if you guys don't know, the predicted architecture is actually Ampere, not the Volta architecture. And so the rumor says there's going to be two architectures, one Ampere and one Turing. Turing will be the mining architecture, while Ampere will be the gaming architecture. It also says that the Ampere architecture will be dedicated to gaming, not mining. Now, the logic behind this is that the Turing architecture will be a dedicated gaming, and mining will be disabled on the Ampere architecture, which I also will want to point out a fact that is very difficult to do, especially because it would have to be something done in the BIOS, and I really can't see how that would be done logically. Even if they were able to somehow do it, there would always be some way to work around it, and I wouldn't be surprised to see there's some hack or something that allows you to mine on the gaming cards, just inflating them sky high. So the next thing I want to say is the new cards will either have GDDR6 or HBM2. We're not sure, but I think either, just like the Titan V had HBM2, I think it's a good bet to go that we're expecting either one of those. The 20 series may actually end up including a GDDR6 memory for the high-end cards, 2070, 2080, and 2080 Ti, or we could end up seeing something like we have HBM at the top as well, and switch back over to GDDR5 memory, or GDDR5X memory on the lower cards. And I'm sorry, that's a mouthful to say. So that's the point is, and of course I already talked about how mining will be disabled on these cards. I really don't think that's too logical of an idea, and especially because one will maybe be dedicated. They'll probably end up being the same model. Yes, maybe one might have a lot more efficiency, but it really will have to see there. And that also brings us to the next point, is that CUDA core counts are supposed to be triple, not double, the total count of the current 1080 Ti. So the 2080 Ti will have like triple the amount of CUDA cores, which means triple the amount of calculations and hash rates for people that are mining, which also brings me back up to that first point, that it doesn't seem logical that we would have these cards be dedicated and restricted on mining, or at least it would be very profitable to somehow figure out around it, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that. So only the 2080 and the 2070 will be releasing next month. We will hopefully, or maybe next month or the month after that, and the 2080 Ti will be releasing at the end of the year. That's the next rumor we have. And besides that, it actually seems quite logical, because the 1080 Ti released a good bit after the 1070 and the 1080, which does seem quite logical, and I would not be surprised to see that. Of course, then that means that all the miners will go for the 2080, 2070, and then the 2080 Ti will be completely crazy. The starting price of the 1080 or the 2080 will be between 1,000 to 1,500, and sadly the logic behind this one, and this actually is one of those few rumors that has some really strong logic behind it. I made a video on this. You can check out the full video. It's the last video I did on this channel, but it pretty much just states that the fact is that you are not going to sell your card that is 30%, 35% better than the previous model for something that's a third of the price. Yes, Nvidia may or may not do it. A company saying, I don't want to make more profit, I don't want to have higher profit margins, that has never been done before, and it would really surprise me if they do. But also keep in mind, they may hurt their the long-term consumers, which are gamers, and if crypto, which I think crypto will be around for a long time, may just be their next biggest consumer, and they may just try pushing for that, trying to make a lot of money off of that. The other thing, though, is as I said, if you're going to, these cards are supposed to have like 30% efficiency, and it doesn't seem quite logical that even like Newegg, the people that are reselling these cards, if it's 30% more efficient, 30% more powerful, it doesn't make sense for these companies to say, hey, I also don't want to make huge profit margins. These board partners, they're also saying, I don't want to make bigger profit margins. That's three people it's got to go through by the time it gets to the consumer, and all three of them got to say, oh no, we're not raising prices, for it to even make a difference in the current prices of the current cards that we have, the 10 series, which also doesn't seem quite likely. So as I said, power efficiency is supposed to be 30% more efficient, which also may help mean that we have all these miners that are actually trying to feasibly pay for power and the cards. They actually go for these new cards. Meanwhile, people that are mining in college dorms, things like that, they may be ending up going towards just getting the 1080 Ti because it's a cheap card, and the power consumption, yes, won't be really big of a factor. The next thing is production has begun on some kind of card. We know that for a fact. And yes, the 2070 and the 2080 may not actually be the name of the 20 series. It may be the 11 series, but I think 20 series sounds better. And I think a lot of people also agree that that's just sounding better and will hopefully be better for the brand. So I think that's what a lot of people are expecting, and that's what the biggest rumor is there. The quad and tri SLI will be disabled. Obviously, since we had this in the 10 series, it doesn't seem too logical for Nvidia just to all of a sudden come up and be like, hey, we disabled it on the last series and no one really complained about it. Yes, there were a couple people that were like, why can't I do quad and tri SLI? But keep in mind, it's really not really useful, especially when most games aren't even optimized for that, let alone 2 cards. And as I said, the 20 series maybe 20 series, maybe 11 series. I think 20, as I said. And then, of course, Nvidia has also come out and said that they're also talking to the resellers to make sure that every person can only get 2 cards per person. Now, let's be honest. This is the 10 series. This was supposed to be instituted, and it did not. It did not make a single difference that people were only getting 2 cards. They just went up and down the row and got it from like 20 different places. And got, cards up and down the row. They got it from Newegg. They got it from, resellers across the board. And so it doesn't seem quite logical that you'd expect that this will make a difference. And this obviously, yes, is a rumor out there. Yes, may make a difference, but I'm not expecting it to. It may be true. It's most likely true since they did it with the current series, but it's not going to make too much of a difference price-wise. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, I'm sorry. Check out my channel for the other videos explaining the prices and things like that. That I also do computer modding and a bunch of other stuff. I highly check it out. And of course, if you're interested, check out the Discord in the description. That's a good place to come talk about this. And also, I'd ask if you have a rumor that you think would be I missed, because these aren't all of them. There's thousands. This was like the most prevalent. Put them down in the comments, and of course, we can have a nice little conversation down as well. But thank you for watching. Hope to see you around, and goodbye.